Hello everybody, welcome to X-SiM Racing. It is Season 5, it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It is practice day. The championship standings are currently up on the screen in case you missed last week. Raul Diago currently on 180 points, tops the leaderboard, but David P. Perez on 164 and Jody Clark on 150, not too far behind. My name is David Isaac, and I'm very excited to present to you Saturday practice day. There's a lot going on in Split 2. If you don't know, we have changed to a split system. We've got Tim Bergholder on 100 points, Ivan Spitz on 80, and Leonardo Martini on 70. That's the top 3 in Split 2. Supporting the Private Family Network X-SiM Racing. We are ready for Long Beach. If you don't know Long Beach, it is an American track and it is a street race. Don't get a lot of these, but they are very, very exciting indeed. Tight corners, tough turns, and it's a short track. You're going to see these guys go around this track a lot, so they're really going to have to master each and every turn that comes with this track as we currently see them going around. Currently on practice, but we will then head over to qualification and the race itself. And trust me, despite the fact that Saturday is technically practice day, these guys do not take anything as practice. They will want to win this race. They will want to get all the momentum that comes with it, and I am excited to learn with all of you exactly who has got the best handle of this track going into tomorrow. Currently on the screen we have Raul Diago, top of the leaderboard and one of the top drivers at X-SiM Racing. Has to over Raul Diago, an absolutely fantastic driver, rocking his favoured BMW. And Long Beach, a very exciting track, currently coming down Shoreline Drive. Shoreline Drive, one of the only places in Long Beach that is a staple. Never changed since its inception. This track, Shoreline Drive, is one of those to look out for, one of those to keep looking through. But currently, he's going around Toyota. Very interesting turn, Toyota, as you go around here. High turn, need to make sure that you are heavy on the brakes, so not to crash. Crashing on this kind of track is detrimental. It's going to cost you a lot of places, especially in such a short track. Those city tracks, is very hard to gain a huge lead. Coming down, Gatti turn now. Taking a little bit of a break. Just coming off the track there, Raul Diago. Justin Klopp now following him as he takes on Indy left. Tough left hand at every one of these turns. Not easy. These guys are really going to have to get a handle on these early. Coming down Shoreline Drive now. And this is where the end of the lap may be. As we know, practice 25 minutes and we are only over 8 minutes into it. So quite a lot of time for these guys to make sure they are taking this track as quickly as they can. After you go around Shoreline Drive, you come into Bridgestone, which we have just followed Tristan Klopp through, and now he takes on Toyota, as we saw Raul Diago do. Look how tight that is. Look how quickly you have to react to each and every turn. You really have to know this track. Each and every one of these drivers knows this track, because if you don't, you're not going to be ready for these turns, and at the speed these guys are going, that will cause them serious damage. Coming around into Pine Avenue, the next turn for each of these drivers to hang. It's a hard left. Not much space at all to turn into. Another thing to think about when you look at tracks like these, you don't have wide angles to head into. When you're taking your exit, you don't have much space because of how tracks like these go. There's no grass to go into, only hard hitting walls, and with the speed these guys are going, hitting a wall will absolutely demolish your car. You're not recovering from that, I'll tell you. Going around Indy left now. One of my favourite things about American tracks, none of those names are too complicated. You'll probably learn every single one of these by the end of today, ready for tomorrow. Ready for a full understanding of what is going on. On the left here, you have each and every one of these sponsors. Great sponsors. Each and every one of them currently model Shipwright, Fish and Fright, Rigging and Machines, and Caribbean Pacific Trading. Thank you each and every one of these sponsors. And also Dream Factory, held by Rel Diago, Remco Barlow, and Gert-Jan Lemons. Well, I'll work on the pronunciation as we move on to this Saturday. I'm sure at some point I will be corrected. But I am but a simple Englishman, and I can be excused for getting the occasional name wrong. I hope you all will give me that.
In Dutch, he is Gert-Jan Leemans.
Gert-Jan Leemans. Did I get that right? That's
Perfect.
fantastic, thank you very much. Going around Shoreline Drive now. Gregorio Perez. We saw him last season. He had a decent season, but definitely one to improve upon. Gregorio Perez looking to do so today. Not that many cars out there, but there are another 15 minutes for some more drivers to get in to this track. Gregorio Perez coming around Toyota at this current stage. Nice and narrow there, going round the fountain. Lots of pretty stuff to look at, but I would hope that all of these guys are not looking at pretty items and are instead focusing on the track. Probably why I'm not a driver. I'd be far too distracted by sightseeing, and that can only end one way. Coming up Pine Avenue now. Gregorio Perez Sesma. See how he takes that nice and neatly, takes a nice tight, all of these corners taken very tightly, meaning you have as much exit as possible, which you really need with a track that has as little give as these tracks do. Another decent turn there from Gregorio Perez, but comes off and resets himself. Maybe not thinking that he would have as good a time as he wants. Maybe there is a turn that he is looking to improve upon earlier on in the track, so he's just resetting himself so he can get back to practicing that turn earlier. Giving a fry at the moment. Taking his own round around Toyota. A few of these guys, Toyota are a really interesting turn, one of the tightest this track has to offer before heading off into Pine Avenue. With a track like this, one of the most interesting things to look out for, one thing I want everybody to look out for, is how the overtakes happen. What turns do people look to overtake? On a practice, you may see a little bit less of it, you may see a little bit more aggressive driving. We're not sure what to expect yet. But it'll be interesting to see when these guys decide to take advantage. Narrow track, difficult to make mistakes. Or difficult to recover mistakes. Remco Barlow gets himself into third place with a decent time there, but Raul Liago sets the pace with a 1 minute 12. I can't exactly see that, but anyway, a purple time. In case you are not aware, a purple time means it is the best time on the track. No one can beat it. Obviously, for stuff like this, it's quite obvious. Whoever's got the best time is in first. That's how it will be like for practice. That's how it will be like for qualifying. But during an actual race, that's not necessarily true. A green time means you're improving upon your personal time. And any other colour means, hey, you got some more work to do. You got some more improvement to do. Raul Diago currently setting the pace as we expect him to do. Raul Diago is a fantastic driver and one you always expect to be higher up. Good performance last season from Raul Diago, almost winning himself a championship, but it was not to be as Denis Grabowski stole it at the death with a fantastic final day performance, winning both races and stealing the crowns from David P. Perez, who he himself stole it the season before. It was a great story, truly. Following Raul Diago as he takes Pine Avenue now, before heading over to Le Mans, who is taking a scenic stroll. I think he is going through his own version of sightseeing there. But obviously that was him coming out of the lane, not a lane you want to take at speed. Coming into Toyota now, where he will amp up his speed, try and get himself a good time. Obviously 7th is the lowest you can currently finish, and that is what he would finish if he doesn't post himself a time in qualifying. Practice at the moment though. Your time only matters to you and is only about your own self-improvement. 15 minutes in to the 25, another 10 minutes of practice to go. And a good time to talk about some of these lovely liveries, some of these lovely liveries. I am English, but somehow can't pronounce all the English words. I'm going to take the excuse that it's a tough language. Anyway, back to sponsors. All of these cars are sponsored by fantastic sponsors. You can check them out on xsimracing.com. Great sponsors, great causes. Yeah, go check them out. And another absolute bonus is all of these drivers have beautiful looking cars that they parade about the city streets to all of their adoring fans. Following Le Mans now. Le Mans, sorry. Well, I was taught it, and quickly the racing enveloped my thought process. We head to Raul Diago, who is currently showing us all how it's done, as he comes round one of the staples, Shoreline Drive, back in a Bridgestone. Coming around into Toyota now, as we head over to Tristan Klopp, who is going in to the pits, as is Gregorio Perez and Kevin De Vries. Good time, get your car back to full health before you... fully repaired before you head back out into the track. With a practice, it's best going on the track with your car as good as it can be. You're not losing any time for it, and you want to take those turns with a car that is perfect for the situation, instead of taking one with some poor suspension that's just affecting how you're taking those corners, which doesn't really help anybody at all. Remco Barlow also going for a pit lap there as we follow Raul Diago, and that's not just because he's pretty much the only one on the track at the moment. The turn before, it's called the Firestone turn. In case you are unaware, you take Firestone turn, the one that Raul Diago just took there, then you are Indy left into Shoreline Drive, the one we've discussed previously. As we see, Raul Diago has just finished taking that turn there and finishing another lap. "17 minutes into the 25 as we follow Remco Barlow. He's on his outlap. So nice and slowly coming round Toyota, Remco Barlow. Takes Toyota at a decent pace, difficult turn. Need to make sure you're not going too quickly around Toyota, as it will absolutely catch you out and leave you with a ruined car if you are underestimating Toyota turn. Really tough, really tight turn there, and you need to make sure you are being exceptionally careful. Coming round Seaside Way. They call it Seaside Way. It's a long straight, probably the longest and maybe the only straight second straight in the entire thing. Seaside Way, one place to build up some speed, but on a street turn, speed is or can be the enemy if you are overestimating, putting too much power in your car. You need to have precision on this kind of track, and each and every one of these drivers definitely has that precision. Eugène Lemon there? Lemon? Well, as I said, I was taught it, I've forgotten it. Hopefully that is somewhat accurate, but what is accurate is his precision as he goes around corners, far more precise than myself. Toyota turn. Seaside Way, Firestone turn. Currently being shown by Lemon into the Indy left. A tight, swift left turn there, coming out of Fireside. You've just taken the straight of Seaside turn, and then you got a right and a left to contend with. Something you really have to be on the money about. You really have to make sure you're braking at the right point so that you are taking those turns as they need to be taken. As we follow Raldiago, who is just heading into Toyota one more time. And it's interesting to see how he will take it as we follow Remco Barlow going into Indy left now. Very nice little S shape there. You can see the tyre marks along the ground showing how this racing line is taken by most of these drivers. Aaron Hobson going around the cornerstone. Followed swiftly by Remco Barlow with a 1:18, which is good enough for 4th place. However, we are only in practice, if you're not aware how this works. We are going to head off after practice into qualifying. 15 minutes of each of these guys driving as quickly around this track as they can, getting themselves as fast a time as they can, and making sure they hopefully end up in pole position heading into the race, the premier race, the start of Saturday, where despite it being practice, none of these guys treat it as such and will be very competitive, and a great indicator of how Sunday may pan out for each and every one of these guys. Racing can be somewhat of a lottery though, and random events can happen, so something to watch out for. If Raldiago wins this race, doesn't mean he's winning tomorrow. There will be some other drivers wanting to take that crown off of his head, and there will be just events no one can control, especially on a street race like this. There'll be plenty of cars on the street, and crashes do happen. Luckily, in X-SiM, it is only simulation, so the worst that's going to happen is car damage. Remco Barlow currently heading round Bridgestone there. And Raldiago down Pine Avenue. Coming into Seaside Way now, Raldiago. Looks slow when you have that kind of thing, but I can assure you it is not. Raldiago is motoring down Seaside Way there. Make sure that he takes his exit early. It looks like a bit of a back and forth, but it's a really interesting, just making sure he can take that turn and gives himself as much room as he needs to get speed on that turn. Expert driving there from Raldiago. He finishes his lap and then he resets himself, making sure that his practice can be of the entire lap with a perfectly structured car. Remco Barlow finishing himself another lap there, seeing how his performance improves. Currently following Tristan Klopp, who is heading round Pine Avenue, going into Seaside Way. Takes that right-hand corner very nicely on the outside now, Seaside Way. Interesting to see when this turns into race conditions, when each and every one of these guys are fighting throughout this street track. Where will be the optimum position to take? Will more drivers try and take Seaside Way narrow, try and take it on the inside, able to get the overtake over Firestone? Or will they take the outside, allowing themselves a better exit from Pine Avenue? Something to be considered for each of these guys when we get into race conditions, and an interesting position, I'm sure. Each and every one of these guys will have thought about that, which is why I'm bringing it up to you. What's the best for each of these turns, and what does the situation allow for? Tristan Klopp looks like he's going to finish himself in a 5th place, unless he gets a slightly better time. Pretty much a second he has to knock off there. Is it possible with a minute? It'll have to be this track here. It'll have to be on this lap. But, of course, anything's possible. Practice coming to an end now. Doesn't really matter where he finishes. It'll only be for his own pride. Watching Kevin DeFries coming through Shoreline Drive. Looking to finish himself another lap. Maybe climb above Tristan Klopp. He does not with a 1:20. Not good enough to go anywhere. And he is pretty much 2 seconds behind Tristan Klopp. I cannot see him ending anywhere other than 6th However, once again, we are only in practice, so what does 6th place mean? It means absolutely nothing. As we finish up in practice, let's learn a little bit more about Long Beach, here in the USA, here in California. One of the premier street racing venues, an annual fixture since 1975. These guys are racing on a premier track. This is an absolute honour track, and it's fantastic that X-SiM Racing has it as a part of our season. Long Beach. Anyone who can conquer Long Beach truly qualifies themselves as an elite driver. All of these guys wanting to become or stay elite drivers. There's consolidation. There's improvement. There's everything under the sun. But can these guys prove themselves as the best drivers in the world? We shall see. But I'm excited to find out as we head into 15 minutes of qualifying. Let's have a look at Remco Barlow, currently the leader of the lap, and showing us how a lap from the very beginning goes. We follow him round Toyota and see him take on Pine Avenue. He's very wide at the moment, as you can see, allows him to get in right at the beginning. As soon as that opens up, he can take it, which means that he has plenty of space to go around Pine Avenue. Very narrow on the exit again, allows him to go wide on Seaside, and I imagine that he will take Firestone turn quite narrow. He does indeed takes that quite narrow, allows himself on the outside lane, comes back outside, allowing him to take another inside turn, another narrow turn there, off Indy left and background shoreline drive there. Remco Barlow looking to finish his first lap and get to the first qualifying time of qualifying. Let's see what that ends up being. Perhaps these will come in on the next lap, going around Bridgestone turn there, took that really nicely, and once again going around Toyota. A left, then a right, and then another left. Again, really having to stay patient and stay committed, and staying full concentration required from these guys. Making sure they can take these, each and every one of these turns they are prepared for. Track memorization, very important here. Coming around Pine left, made sure he can get wide, so he takes this, coming into the Seaside, narrow as possible, gives himself as much space to really ramp up the speed here as he does. Let's see when he brakes. There you go, brakes late, gets himself narrow there, gives himself a wide. Before, again, really interesting how each of these drivers, the driving line there, you have to come in narrow, come in narrow, then you are heading narrow. You have to turn again, come out wide before India left. You're going around Firestone turn, coming out wide before taking India left. Otherwise, you are going to have absolutely no space to do so. So it looks like a bit of a swerve motion, bit of an S shape there. First times come in, and it's Raul Diago, who else? Setting the pace with a 1:18.08. Remco Barlow really about half a second behind him, not too bad at all. Space to be made there. Limon also coming in, and all of these guys setting themselves a first time. Only two people yet to set themselves a time, Gregorio Perez and Sam Van. Gregorio Perez still not set himself a time. It is Sam Van who gets himself a 1:19 there. Not a bad time, Sam Van. Puts himself squarely in 5th place. Tristan Klopp has some work to do. Sam Van there. We were talking about how good he's doing. Unfortunately hits a wall. Not sure exactly where he hit it. Coming out of Bridgestone now, once again. Gonna take on Toyota. Following Aaron Hobson now. Coming out of Firestone into Indy left. Very nice Indy left. Unfortunately, someone ahead of him had already spun out and Aaron Hobson had nothing he could do except collide with the car in front of him. Both those guys going to have to restart. Unfortunately there, another thing we're talking about with these street laps, that it is very narrow and there is very little space to avoid anything. So these drivers are going to have to be careful and make sure they are in full control of their car at all times. Raldiago improved on his time, if you didn't see it, now has himself a 117. Very good time there. Gregorio Perez, everybody has now set a time, a 1:18.7 from Gregorio Perez there, very good time. And now all positions are set currently. These guys have about 10 minutes to change their position, but nobody has yet to set a time. Following Gregorio Perez as he heads around Toyota there, almost clips the wall there, but I think avoided it, looked like did. Going into Pine left now. Giving himself as much space as possible. Wasn't the smoothest cut-in I've ever seen, coming around Seaside now. Takes that much better. Very nice there around Seaside, Gregorio Perez. Now coming into Firestone, how's he going to take this? Is he going to take it? Very nice. Follow the racing line, yes, does so. Comes out a bit too early, I'd say. Maybe a little bit too early. Takes that right-hand turn. Maybe lost a second or two. Points of a second of speed there. I think he could have taken it slightly more efficiently. We'll see how it reflects in his final time. Does he improve? He does not improve upon his original time. Gonna have to take that track one more time at minimum if he wants a first place. But the time keeps on ticking as we are about halfway through our 6th minute. So these guys have less than a third of qualifying left in order to get pole position. Raldiago holds that, and if I was a betting man, I would bet on him to keep pole position. Coming on Firestone now, again looked like maybe a bit of contact there, maybe just the slightest bump, but maybe I'm just seeing ghosts, who knows. That was definitely somewhat of a mistake in the turn there from Sam Fan. As you could see, wasn't exactly sure of his steering wheel there, and it affected his ability to get that turn round into Indy corner. We watch Kevin DeFries now, coming out of Bridgestone at tremendous speed, still trying to get himself the floor off bottom place. Only a 119 is bottom place, so we've definitely seen worse times, so it's not a terrible time, but unfortunately all that matters in this kind of game is where your best time is. If you have a decent time but everyone else has got a good time, then nobody cares that you're decent, you're still bottom of the leaderboard, right? Raldiago, not bottom of the leaderboard. Very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen Raldiago bottom of any leaderboard. He is a winner and he is looking to win this season, something he has been denied in the past. I believe the last season Raldiago won was season 2. That's unfact checked, but I'm pretty confident about that as he comes round. Wow, very, very tight there from Raldiago. Actually stops his car, comes back into the pits there, starts himself off again. Not sure what happened there from Raldiago. Probably had a bit of car damage, or maybe just knew that that lap was not going to be optimal, was not going to beat his 117 and didn't want to waste time finishing it. That is also completely possible. Gerjon Limons, that's probably right. Coming round Indy left now, going absolutely subatomic speed. That's not a real measurement of speed. Going around Shoreline Drive, looking to finish his lap, seeing if he can improve and defeat Raldiago, unseating from the top spot, unable to do so. Currently gets himself a 119.5. Apologies, I thought that was a 118 and 119.5. Very slow time there. Not optimal for someone as high up in the standings as he is. Though on positive news, such a high standing is not affected by a one slow time. He's just going to need to make sure that he improves on it with this qualifying time, just to solidify his position in second as we look to come into our 10th minute. No more time will be given after 15. These guys will have 15 minutes, and then the race will begin. The headliner of Saturday. Which of these guys is going to take all of the momentum possible going into Sunday? Really cement themselves. Another interesting thing to look at is each of these cars. Beautiful liveries, really nice paint, really nice car work, and each of these liveries is inspired and given to us by a fantastic sponsor. If you want to find out more about any of our current sponsors, you can head over to xsimracing.com. Fish and Frights, there is the car we are currently following, but we also have Dream Factory, Sim Racing Pro, Empire Seafood, Model Shipwright, Caribbean Pacific Trading, Hopeful Hearts Causes, and Rigging and Machine Movers. All of our sponsors on show today. Following the Fish and Frights car round Toyota, obviously belonging to Gregorio Perez Sesma. If you are looking at the bottom of our screen and are confused, a green bar means the same as it does in the top left. Green bar means an improvement on the sector. A yellow bar means it doesn't mean an improvement, is all I'll say. Yellow bar means that you have either had exactly the same time or a worse time, and that's not what anyone is looking to see. Raldiago showing what a purple time means once again as he gets himself a 1.1782. Great time from Raldiago, further solidifying his place as top dog, top of the leaderboard. Very impressive from Raldiago, which we absolutely have come to expect. Seaside Way now being taken by Remco Barlow, who is absolutely no pushover, looking to improve about 7/10 of a second behind second place. Not for long if he can say anything about it. Goes around Indy left and now coming out into Shoreline Drive. You may have heard a song similar, but that's Lakeshore Drive. This is Shoreline Drive, in my opinion, infinitely better. But I am somewhat biased. Toyota being taken by Gregorio Perez now. A nice track and a nice driver driving it. Gregorio Perez. Sesma coming to pine there, really just showing this driving line that at this point you all should be familiar with. Lovely thing about a short track like this, very easy to learn, even for someone that has not really watched driving before coming into Firestone, even got it blasted. Hobson now giving himself his own turn at taking on Toyota. Does so nice and efficiently. Didn't see any real issues with that. Nice and neat there. Indy left just being finished as he goes into Shoreline Drive. Gregorio Perez Sesma, can he improve upon fourth place? He cannot, unfortunately, keeps his position a 120, which on this track is very slow. It would put him in 9th place. As all of the drivers some of the drivers seem to have finishing up. A couple of drivers still out there, a couple of minutes of qualifying left. Gregorio Perez, Aaron Hobson and Sam Van are still currently on the track. And they should be able to get a couple more, potentially only one more time is left in them. We'll have to wait and see. But positions can still be gained. I would imagine that we are going to see Raldiago pole position going into the official race. As I said, we will have to wait and see on that. Gregorio Perez clearly wanting all of the spotlight to himself as he comes around Firestone turn. Indy left, picks the S as we have come to know and love it. The Firestone turn, difficult S there, comes around Indy left. A nice tight turn there, but Gregorio Perez takes it nice and neatly now coming into Shoreline Drive. Not finishing, just going off into the pits. Not improving on his time, gives himself only 4th place qualifying. He is now finishing as we head into the final and official race of Saturday. 20 minutes. Each of these guys going to show us what they've got on a official friendly, as I call it. But there is nothing friendly about it. Each of these guys wants to win and take momentum. It's a momentum-based thing Saturday. It's all about showing your skills and learning the track. But tell them that it's not about winning. It's about taking part. And watch them openly mock, I'd say. Openly mock and laugh. They'll want to win. They'll want to come in first place. I want to see them be competitive. I want to see them try and win. And we are getting ready to hopefully see a very exciting 20-minute race. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. As we wait for the 20-minute race to begin, here is a little look at California. Not real California, modelled California, but I wouldn't mind living in modelled California. Here's a little look at the track. It's kind of a bird's eye view of the track. If you haven't seen it so far, it will be up on the screen during the race, but a couple other facts about the track there on the right. It's a cloudy day, unfortunate, but over here in the UK where I am, it's quite a nice sunny day. So if you don't want to be in California where there's famously no sun, you can come over to the UK, which is famously full of sun. That's how it's always worked in my mind, at least. I can't imagine California being known for the sun. Here in the USA, if you don't know, we are at Long Beach, and we are waiting for the 20-minute race to kick off. All of these drivers getting ready, getting set, not going though, that is still to come. Here are the placements. Raldiago, as he is known to do, gets himself pole position. Not far behind him though is Guerjean Limons. Second place for him, Remco Barlow third. Gregorio Perez going to take fourth place, filling out the top four. Aaron Hobson putting himself fifth place, middle of the pack for Aaron Hobson. Tristan Klopp getting himself a sixth place. Sam van Koevoorden in seventh, and Kevin De Vries in eighth. Only 8 drivers, a small pack, a hungry pack, a small track, a difficult track. Let's see how they do it. 20 minutes to go. An exciting race ahead. And they're off. Here we go. An important start is very useful, and it is Aaron Hobson that does not benefit from a good start. Overtaken, drops down into 8th place. Raldiago looks set to keep pole position heading into Toyota. Tough set of turns there, and we see a couple of crashes there. Gregorio Perez and Kevin De Vries both make huge issues for themselves early doors there, as an early collision puts both of them in a very difficult position. Tristan Klopp follows them with an issue of his own. Sam Van drops down, Gregorio Perez overtaking him. Sam Van drops down also. Let's have a look at exactly what happened following Gregorio Perez. All these guys coming into Toyota, really tight, really narrow. Let's see what happens. It's just a spin from Gregorio Perez, and it causes a couple of collisions there. Gregorio Perez spins out round Toyota, unfortunately does not take that track potentially as nicely as he should have done. these tyres are not yet as warmed up as they should be. I think sometimes drivers, they finish qualifying, their tyres are hot, they can go around these corners as quickly as they want to. They come into the race, they feel like they know what speed they should be coming to these corners at, but their tyres aren't warmed up, and that causes early spins. Raldiago is finishing his first lap, currently gets himself into pole position at a 1:24 from Raldiago, but second place, still not too far behind him, is Grosjean Le Mans. And another look at Toyota there, as both these guys coming around Toyota, tight turns, and he is not too far behind. There is very little to separate these two guys, but on tracks as short as these, there never is too much separation between the top drivers. Raldiago now coming in to Pine Turn. Gregorio Perez is chasing down. He's going into a turn of his own. Have a look at how he approaches Pine Turn himself. Takes it nice and neatly there. And once again, coming out wide so he can take into the Seaside Way. Nice and neatly around Seaside Way there for him, coming into Firestone as we follow the beginning of the race. Once again, watching Gregorio Perez spin out some. One of the unfortunate things for each of these guys to deal with is their mistakes will be shown multiple times. Raldiago improving on his time once again. I believe gets himself a 1:18. Lovely time from Raldiago there. Something to be admired. Comes round Toyota out of that nice and neatly before taking the right and the right one more time, coming down this straight before heading off into Pine Turn here. Raldiago giving himself as much space as possible, one of the only barriers that gives you some space. And it's Grosjean Le Mans unfortunately makes an error in following Raldiago. Turns off there, Grosjean, and that is definitely going to affect his time as he drops down to 12 seconds behind. Huge gap now between Remco and Grosjean, and that's going to be tough to catch. Raldiago still pole position, and Grosjean's got a lot of work to do as he comes around into Indy corner, Indy left, apologies, before heading off into Shoreline Drive. Needs to make sure that he makes no more mistakes if he wants to climb these rankings back to where he was, but even if he makes no mistakes, that is no guarantee of catching Remco or even Raldiago, which is a tough task as he is currently 17 full seconds behind Raldiago, and I don't think Raldiago gives up 17 seconds in 16 minutes. But Remco Barlow only 4 seconds behind Raldiago, and that is a much more catchable distance. Let's see how Remco Barlow attacks. Grosjean here following Raldiago, and as he turns, he oversteers, and his car betrays him somewhat. And it's a poor turn there. It's very difficult to recover. He wasn't able to recover quickly at all. His car, he had to slowly reverse out of the way. Let's have a look at this one more time. Let's look at exactly what happens here. Coming round, here's Pine Turn coming up. Here's the issue here. Comes left, tries to take it back right, but he'd already turned his left far too heavily. His tyres had turned left, and when he tried to turn them back right, they were not listening to him in a way he wanted them to. Out of control he went, and he almost certainly cost himself first place. Let's have a look at the sponsors real quick as we watch Raldiago in the Dream Factory car, followed by Remco Barlow in Empire Seafood. Sim Racing Pro, handled by... oh, his name's escaped me when I can't see it. Le Mans is Sim Racing Pro. Grosjean Le Mans Fish and Frights obviously being heralded by Gregorio Perez, Aaron Hobson, also in the Caribbean Pacific Trading car. I believe it's Tristan Klopp in Model Shipwright. It is Tristan Klopp and Kevin de Vries, and is the Sam Van in Hopeful Hearts. It is, but both of them, unfortunately, not on the track at this moment. Raldiago still heralding first place, still waving the banner for perfection in this race. Gets himself another decent time as he goes around Bridgestone and comes into Toyota. Raldiago, a very tough customer, very difficult to catch. And Remco Barlow has a big challenge ahead of him if he wants to catch Raldiago. But 7 minutes in, just under halfway, there is still time for him to catch Raldiago. Will he be able to do it in the time allotted? Only time will tell. Whether that's ironic, I don't know. Ask your local author how ironic that sentence was. Raldiago still being chased by Remco Barlow, but at the moment it is a long hunt. Raldiago probably doesn't see Remco Barlow. Remco Barlow only sees him through the sight of his rifle. Whether he can get into a range to do some melee will be up to Remco Barlow and how well he can drive around this track, but he's going to have to make up a whole 6 seconds, and 6 seconds on a racetrack is no joke. Raldiago takes a fantastic turn round into Bridgestone there, and Shoreline Drive now being taken by Remco Barlow, who is a good driver, but he isn't good enough. Coming on Bridgestone there, gets himself another time, slightly slower than the one of Raldiago, a second lost, which is not a good omen. As we look at Grosjean, he is still a long way behind, 15 seconds behind Remco Barlow, 21 seconds behind Raldiago. Not looking fantastic for Grosjean Le Mans and his chances of winning this race. In fact, I would go so far as to say it is remarkably unlikely that he wins this race, but he is more likely to win it than Gregorio Perez is. This is a race of some considerable distances between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. All of them almost certainly racing their own races at this point in time. We shall see exactly how that ends up affecting each and every one of these guys, and we are back to seeing some slightly slower racing, making sure no mistakes are made. Tomorrow there will be plenty more cars on the track, and that will affect how all these guys drive. There will be places constantly up for grabs on such a small, narrow track. Gregorio Perez trying to chase down Grosjean Le Mans. We'll see how possible, how likely that may be. Some of the HUD has paused for me, so I'm not exactly sure what the current times are, but I am watching Gregorio Perez as he comes round into Bridgestone, I believe he's coming into now. Might be Pine Turn. No, he's coming into, I believe that's Raldiago, in fact. Unfortunately, it says for me that it's Gregorio Perez, but I believe we're watching Raldiago at this moment in time. If you are still with me, I believe here's Raldiago going down Pine Avenue. Hopefully the HUD will come back soon. Hopefully it's not me that's dropped out. That would be unfortunate. But I can... Okay, it's no issue. Coming round into Firestone here, coming round into Firestone turn, we see Raldiago. How is he going to take this? Back up now, we see once again. Couple new times there, Gregorio Perez. Still looking to get himself a better position. As we see, Raldiago there takes that nice and neatly as he comes round into Shoreline Drive now, looking to finish himself another lap time. efficiently handled there. Now coming back into Toyota there, Raldiago. We're just watching a very silky smooth driver. Very silky and very smooth. On the left. Still somewhat just being fixed at this moment in time. Small technical difficulties, you get them everywhere. Something we will absolutely get fixed as soon as possible. Currently, Raldiago, having no technical difficulties of his own, driving like somewhat a man possessed, comes round Seaside Way going into Firestone Turn. How well can he take that? We are back on now, and we are back with Raldiago as he is going round Toyota. In the time that it took, he clearly has somewhat gone further than we saw. We are now 12 minutes into the race. Raldiago still in first place. Fortunately, Remco Barlow is out of the race. Sometime in the missing seconds, Remco Barlow disappeared off the track. Really unfortunate, as the distance between Raldiago and Grosjean is 16 seconds, a serious distance between the two of them. So, unfortunately, this is not really much of a close race anymore, as we watch Grosjean have an absolute mountain to climb to catch Raldiago and very little time to do it. Unfortunately, not sure what happened to Remco Barlow. Something we'll have to find out in the future. If I see anything or if I learn anything about it, I will let you know what happened to Remco Barlow. Hopefully it wasn't something as sad as a disconnect. That would be terrible. Grosjean Lemons just trying to get as good a performance as he can, trying to keep himself in second, but unfortunately, as I say that, he absolutely curses him, and another spin from Grosjean Lemons there costs him an absolute mountain of time. And now Indy turn and Shoreline Drive gonna try and build himself back up to the speed he was at, but now there is a race on for second place. Gregorio Perez is chasing down Grosjean as both men head into Toyota. Something now on the line for Grosjean, a mistake going round Firestone Turn. A mistake from Grosjean, an error on his turning circle has now made this a close run thing. Can Gregorio Perez capitalise on Grosjean Lemon's mistake? We will see. Both men now going into Pine Avenue. Pine Avenue. An interesting one. We have seen Grosjean make a mistake on Pine Avenue before. Will he do so again? He did not. Raldiago still miles ahead. There is absolutely very little doubt that Raldiago wins this race. Grosjean Lemon's made another error, and now Raldiago has enough daylight where I'm pretty sure he could stop for a nap and still win. Here is the error from Grosjean Lemon's. Unfortunately unable to do a complete 360 turn, having to do the last bits of work himself and catch up. But the race is truly on for second place. Gregorio Perez Sesma can catch Grosjean Lemon's. Grosjean Lemon's needs to make sure he doesn't make one more mistake in 5 minutes. Because of... Yes, I'm getting word it was a connection problem from Remco Barlow, which is an absolutely terrible shame, but can happen at X-SiM Racing, can happen with any esport. Connection issue from Remco Barlow has taken him out of this race. Luckily for him, we are still on Saturday. As much as I like to big up the importance and how much each of these guys wants to win Saturday's race, it is just a practice day. It is a practice race. Remco Barlow still has not lost or cost himself any points there, and hopefully his connection will be 100% tomorrow. Tristan Klopp, lots of catching up for Tristan Klopp to do. Aaron Hobson in front of him. It says there's 40 seconds between them. I can't imagine, unless Aaron Hobson has lapped him. I can't imagine that to be the case, but he has, yeah. Tristan Klopp got a lot of catching to do if he would like to be at the top of this leaderboard. I would say that him catching Raldiago would require everyone in front of him to drop out, which I'm not exactly sure I could call that a race. I think it would just be watching Tristan Klopp go around a track. Not that I'd be against that, but I'm not sure that's what X-SiM racing exactly is. The current race is still between Grosjean, Le Mans and Gregorio Perez. There is distance between the two of them, but how much distance exactly? I still believe that Gregorio Perez is capable of catching Grosjean Le Mans, though I may have missed something. There is 3.5 minutes left to go. Each of these guys probably quite comfortable with the place they're in. We'll have to see exactly how that winds up with 3 minutes left to go. Here's the clock coming up Pine Avenue and round into the Seaside Way. Oh, Rodiago once again coming round Bridgestone and into Toyota with Oliver Tristan Klopp and Aaron Hobson, who has coming round Toyota himself. Aaron Hobson, let's see exactly what happened with him. Perhaps just a fantastic turn here. Nope, not. I wouldn't call it fantastic. I'd probably call it bad or poor. But as we've said before, it is a difficult track. A mistake there from Aaron Hobson smacks the end. His tail whips into Toyota. He will recover, luckily for him. I don't think he's losing 4th place. I don't think he's gaining 3rd, but I don't think he's losing 4th. Tristan Klopp there makes a mistake around Toyota, has to correct. Does so, really unfortunate there, just comes in, not able to make the turn, and slowly stops his car, reverses, and starts driving. Once again, here he comes around the fountain of Toyota. Let's have another look. Tristan Klopp here. Maybe just looks away at the wrong time. I think he does. I think that's a lapse in concentration from Tristan Klopp as he potentially looks away, because he doesn't turn off. He doesn't even try and attempt to turn until he's far past the turning point, which would make me think that he's not seen it until it was too late. That would be my guess, my estimation of what exactly happened, though I could not be certain. Only he could tell you. Seaside Way being taken by Gregorio Perez, still trying to overtake Grosjean Le Mans, but he has got some serious work to do as we head into the final minute. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. Barely a lap left for each of these guys. Gregorio Perez would really have to rely on another crash from Grosjean Le Mans if he wants that 2nd place. And Grosjean Le Mans, I would imagine, is going to take this nice and safely. If I was him, that's what I would do. Aaron Hobson, somewhat on his tail, but quite a distance between those two guys as well. Coming around the fountain there, Gregorio Perez not had a bad day of driving. Obviously a very, very early mistake cost him a huge portion of this race. But since that early mistake, I haven't seen much wrong with Gregorio Perez's performance. It's not been optimal, but it's practice day and I think he can improve upon it. Rodiago is going to win this race as we come into the final seconds. We've known it for quite some time, but now we are going to get confirmation of victory for Rodiago as these guys come into lap 16. 5 seconds left to go. Let's watch Rodiago as he takes round Toyota. When he passes the finish line, he will have won, and there is very little left to do. Each of these guys is going to finish themselves a whole 16 laps. 17 laps indeed by the time they finish the final one. Rodiago still has a bit of space to go. One more lap for all these guys. Rodiago coming around Seaside Way now. Grosjean Le Mans not too far behind, obviously 26 seconds behind if you want to be exact, but Aaron Hobson now, another look. Some of these fabulous looks you can get in X-SiM racing of driving, you probably wouldn't see otherwise. Looks like Rodiago is about to finish this track. If we can head back over to him and get some confirmation of our winner of Saturday's race. I believe it's Rodiago. And congratulations to Rodiago, wins today's race. Good performance from him. Nice bit of momentum into tomorrow as he looks to further cement his place at the top of the standings, the Season 5 Championship standing. Gerjan Leemans now looking to finish the lap of his own, comes round, decent second place for him. Obviously would have been far more competitive if Remco Barlow had not unfortunately crashed, but Gerjan Leemans gets himself second place. Congratulations to him. Gregorio Perez qualifies. Tristan Klopp qualifies. Gregorio Perez qualifies. Sorry, I said Tristan Klopp qualifies when it was... Sorry, I said Gregorio Perez qualified when in fact it was Tristan Klopp qualifying. 1 lap less than everybody else. Unfortunately, Tristan Klopp gonna keep himself in 5th place. It is what it is. It was a couple of early mistakes from Tristan Klopp and was unable to correct for them. Aaron Hobson now finally 4th place, not too bad from Aaron Hobson. A difficult track and mistakes were made by a few drivers. Everyone except Raul Diago had a notable incident, so definitely something to look out for. These guys gonna hope that these are kept to Saturday, but congratulations to Raul Diago, who had a absolutely stellar performance and takes all the momentum into tomorrow's official race. Gerjan Leemans gets himself 2nd place. Congratulations to him. In 3rd place, we have Gregorio Perez Sesma. In 4th place, Aaron Hobson. In 5th, Tristan Klopp. 6th, Remco Barlow. And 7th, Kevin De Vrij and Sam van Koevoorden. We lost them pretty early on in the race. Unfortunate to see. Championship standings do not matter for Saturday's race. No points given in this, as I'm sure Remco Barlow and everyone will be happy to hear, everyone that isn't Raul Diago. But if you want to look at the overall championship standings, heading in to tomorrow, Raul Diago on 180 points, currently in 1st place, not too far behind him, David Perez on 164 and Jordi Clara on 150. Rubens Lorente still in the running. A few people still in the running. Rubens Lorente, Yannick van der Zande and Jean Lay not too far behind. All have crossed the 100 points total. That's X-SiM Split 1. Obviously, this is the first season in which we are introducing 2 split systems. Looking into Tim Split 2, we have Tim Berghold, who has himself 100 points. Ivan Spitz has himself 80, so only 20 points behind there. Leonardo Martini, 70 points, only 10 points between those two. And Alvaro Roca fits out the top 4 with 64 points. Thank you very much for joining me today on Saturday, and make sure to join us all tomorrow for the official race day 2 of Season 5 here at X-SiM Racing. Same track, we'll be back at Long Beach. There'll be plenty more cars, there'll be plenty more action. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a fantastic evening.